Namaskar, this is Dada Rainjitananda. Welcome. Today, the class will be on what is my relation with the universe and the cosmic entity. From the previous classes, we have that everything comes from Brahma, and the Prakriti exerting its influence on Purusha transforms Purusha in Bodhitattva, Aham Tattva, Chitta. These are the three parts of the cosmic mind. So first, the cosmic mind is created due to the influence of Prakriti. After the creation of the cosmic mind, Prakriti continues exerting its influence on Purusha and creates the five fundamental factors: ether, air, luminous factor, liquid, and solid. So the five fundamental factors are created. And this is the movement is from subtle, here is more subtle, to crude. This is the extroversial phase of the cycle of creation. The next phase is the introversial phase. So when we reach to the crudest, which is the solid factor, then the solid factor can be divided. Solid things can be divided. So here, unit beings are created. So many unit beings are created at this point, when Prakriti has brought Purusha to the state of solid factor. And when many beings are created, that's when the introversial phase starts. First, undeveloped beings, then more developed plants, animals, humans. So as the movement on the introversial phase goes on, the unit beings get more and more developed bodies, so the consciousness can reflect better in a more developed mind. A more developed body holds a more developed mind, and that can reflect the consciousness in a better way. Consciousness gets fully reflected when it reaches the level of human being. So human being is the last stage in this evolution, and human being is capable to do sadhana. Sadhana to reconnect with Brahma. That completes the cycle. So the cycle starts from Prakriti exerting influence on Purusha, transforming that Purusha in Bodhitattva, in Aham Tattva, in Chitta, in the five fundamental factors. Maximum pressure on Purusha, some part of solid factor becomes mind, primitive mind. Now there are different unit beings, and that primitive mind develops and needs a more developed structure, gets a more developed structure, and that mind goes on moving from a less developed body to a more developed body, reaching the human body. human body, able to do sadhana. Sadhana reconnects with Brahma. Full cycle. Okay, at this point, I'm going to ask you a question. That's the question. It's more just to see how we are going. My question was, do you feel you are getting a good idea of the philosophy through these classes? And 67% of you said yes. 33% said a fair understanding. Some points are not clear. And that's a good result. I think we are doing good. So let's keep on moving. Let's look at a human being. Okay. A human being, the moment we have a physical body made of 5 fundamental factors, coming from the cosmic body of Saguna Brahma, then the Atman is reflected. So when we have a physical body, Atman gets reflected. So now Atman is reflected on the body. It's a human body, so we have a human mind. And a human mind has these 3 parts: the Buddhi Tattva, the Aham Tattva, and the Chitta. So we have here the human being, soul, mind, body. The awareness or the knowledge of existence comes in Buddhi Tattva. Here is where we have the knowledge of existence. What is this Buddhi Tattva? Is nothing but a mental projection of consciousness. This I basically exists in Atman, and in Buddhi Tattva is just a modified form of this I, because in Atman, this I is peaceful, blissful, no variation. So there is no knowledge of existence. When Prakriti exerts some influence on this I that is in consciousness, then that's when it comes to the point that I am. And that's the Buddhi Tattva. There is knowledge of existence. And that's the human structure. Now let's look at Brahma. Brahma exists in 2 states. The non-qualified state, that's Nirguna. The qualified state, that's Saguna. Who qualifies Brahma? Prakriti. When Prakriti qualifies Brahma, or better saying, when Prakriti qualifies Purusha, then we get Saguna Brahma. Brahma is Purusha plus Prakriti. So Prakriti always exists, Purusha always exists. Together they form Brahma. When Prakriti is not active, it remains Nirguna. When it's active, it transforms into Saguna. And Saguna is also called Bhagavan. Giving an example that we have given before, imagine a vast infinite ocean. One part of this ocean gets qualified. It freezes, it becomes an iceberg. That iceberg part is Saguna. That pure ocean water part is Nirguna. Now, this ocean is infinite. Nirguna Brahma is infinite. But Saguna Brahma is a part of the infinite, and that's also infinite. Saguna is also infinite. So this ice part is also infinite, and the ocean part is also infinite. One part is where Prakriti can qualify the Purusha, and the rest is Prakriti cannot qualify Purusha. Now there is unit consciousness. What is the unit consciousness? Imagining that Saguna is formed by various unit consciousness. So the multiple of consciousness in that qualified entity, that is the Atman, or the unit consciousness. When this unit consciousness gets released from the influence of Prakriti, then it merges again in Nirguna. If Prakriti is exerting some influence on the Atman, then it's separated from Nirguna. When released, then it merges in Nirguna. Now let's look at the human being. First part of the human being here, Atman, unit consciousness, then mind, Buddhi Tattva, Aham Tattva, Chitta, then physical body. Physical, mental, spiritual. How do they work together? In our life, we are always doing something. So if we do something, action, then we get a reaction. With our mind, we are taking a decision. I'm gonna do this, and I go and do it. What happens? I get a reaction. So I do it, do an action, get a reaction. Let's see how this action and reaction influences the human being. Let's talk first about the Atman, the unit consciousness. The unit consciousness is only watching it. It's only witnessing it. It's not acting. Now, the Buddhi Tattva, which is a projection of the Atman, has the feeling of I, is basically a changed form of unit consciousness. So this Buddhi Tattva is only a feeling of I. Does it act? Does it not act? Let us see. Let's talk about the Aham Tattva. The Aham Tattva is the ego. The Aham Tattva is that one, the I that is acting. It's doing something. And what is the Chitta? It's taking the shape of that action. How is this taking the shape of the action? Every action happens in the mind. We can think that actions are happening in the physical world, but just think about this situation. There are two men, and they are watching a soccer game. Okay, both are sitting there and both are watching the soccer game. And we are a third person. Now, we look at these two men, and for us, they are both doing the same action. What is the action they are doing? They are watching the soccer game. But for those two men, if we go inside their minds, we are going to find out that two different things are happening in their minds. What they are thinking is different. What is going in their mind is different. Okay, so what is happening in the mind of those individuals is different. So for them, the actions are different. So where is the real action taking place? The real action is taking place inside the mind. Now the mind may be receiving the vibrations from the external world through the eyes, through the ears, and that may influence what is happening in the mind, but that is not everything. That's only part of the action. The real action is happening in the mind. Now, what is the relation between mind and body? The mind needs a physical base to function. Imagine that the brain is the hardware and the software needs hardware to work. If there is no hardware, means there is no brain, the software cannot work. So the software part, we can compare it to the mind. The hardware part, we can compare it to the body, to the brain. Okay? So in this case here, we are doing action, and with that action, we are getting reaction. Where is the action taking place? We said that the I that acts is the Aham Tattva. But what about the Buddhi Tattva? Is it not acting also? It is in a certain way acting. The example that is given in the book is like this. Two landlords are fighting for the land, and they order their workers to go and fight. So the workers go and fight. The landlords, they don't do anything, they just stay home. But the result of the fight, who wins and who loses, it is the landlord. The workers go fight, get beaten, go to the hospital, so they do all the action, but in the end, it matters for the landlord. And the whole fight only happened because of the landlord. So that's the role of Bodhisattva. So apparently, Bodhisattva is not acting, but really everything is only happening because of Bodhisattva. And what is really happening, where it is happening? In the chitta. The whole action is happening in the chitta. One point of philosophy here, the unit consciousness neither performs any actions nor experiences any results. It is only a witnessing entity. But if it's not there, nothing would be happening. Because there is this witnessing entity, then things happen. The drama in the theater only happens because there are the spectators. If there are no spectators, the drama will not happen. How can we think of this unit consciousness in relation to the Bodhisattva? The example that is given is like an actor in a drama. There is a drama. There are two people in that drama. Let's give them some names. Okay, let's one step back. There is a drama. There is an actor in that drama. And the name of that actor is John. But in the drama, his name is Peter. So in the drama, his name is Peter, and he has to do many actions. He runs, he beats somebody, he eats, he sleeps. He is doing all that in the drama. So that is Peter doing it. When the drama finishes, he is not Peter anymore. Now he's his own self. He is John. John has not been affected by the drama. It was just at that time he was Peter, he was playing the drama, and he was being affected by the drama. But John is not affected by the drama. John remains John. So, in the same way, unit consciousness remains unit consciousness, is not affected by what Bodhisattva is doing. Bodhisattva is the actor in the drama, and Atman is not being affected by it. When the drama finishes, then Bodhisattva is not anymore Bodhisattva, it becomes Atman, and it remains Atman, has not been affected by the drama. Let's talk a little bit about action and reaction. When we do an action here, the mind gets distorted because of that action. The action is performed by the mind, so the mind gets distorted. What is the reaction? The reaction is to restore the mind to normal state. So now the mind has been deformed, it wants to go back to its normal state, then there is a reaction. The word in Sanskrit is karma phala. Phala means fruit, karma means action, the fruit of the action. So the reaction is the result of the action. I do an action, I get the reaction, I get the karma phala. So it restores my mind to a normal state. This reaction does not happen immediately, usually. It takes some time to happen. So for some time, the reaction remains in potential form. It is there, but it's not yet happening. How we call it? We call it samskara. Samskara, another word in Sanskrit that means a reaction before it happens. So karma phala is the reaction, the fruit of the action. And samskara is the reaction in potential form. It yet didn't happen. There are two types of action. One is only mental. I'm just thinking various things. I'm thinking I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. That's an action, but it's a mental action. Another action is physical. Suppose I'm thinking I am going to the retreat in New York State. So I'm thinking, it's a mental action. Then I go and do the registration. I buy my ticket. So in that, I'm using my indriyas. And then I'm flying there and I'm attending the retreat. That's a physical action. So the mental is also action, physical is also action. So the mind experiences the reaction from a mental action or from a physical action. There was a question, and the question was, one of you asked me this question. In the 5th chapter, which is this one, it says that human beings' feeling of I is Bodhisattva. And it's not Bodhisattva which acts. Then again it says, Chitta assumes the form of actions of Bodhisattva and Ahamtattva. So Bodhisattva does not act, and again it acts. Can you explain? So I explained it before, so I'm going to emphasize it here that Ahamtattva is the I that is acting, but behind Ahamtattva is Bodhisattva which is kind of inspiring it or making it work. So without the Bodhisattva that makes the Aham Tattva work, nothing happens. And the Chitta, okay, it takes the form of the action. So the three of them are involved. The whole mind is involved in the action. The Bodhisattva, the Aham Tattva, and the Chitta. But one, the Bodhisattva, is behind the scenes. The Aham Tattva is the one doing it. The Chitta is taking the shape of the action. Let me now put another question to all of you. Let me keep you in the flow. That's the question. There are some statements there, and you have to find which one is the wrong one. So the question was, which statement is wrong? And the first ones, humans are the last stage in the evolutionary ladder. Yeah, we talked about that. We explained that. The second one, only in humans there is unit consciousness. That's the wrong one. And 86% of you got it. There is consciousness in every unit being. There is unit consciousness in every unit being. So even a cell in our body is a unit being by itself. It has a mind. We have a human mind, and every cell of our body has also a mind. And that mind also has unit consciousness. And we have our unit consciousness. And the next one was unit consciousness is only the witnessing entity. That's correct. 14% of you got it wrong, but we talked about it, that it is the mind that is acting. The unit consciousness itself is only witnessing it. It's not acting. The number 4, the knowledge of existence appears in the Mahatattva. Yes, Mahatattva is just the other name for Bodhitattva. And that's correct. And Aham Tattva is the I that acts. That's also correct. Aham Tattva is the ego, is the one that acts. So I can say it was quite good. Moving ahead, again, representing here the human being with a body, with a mind, unit consciousness, soul. Prakriti is exerting its influence on the unit consciousness, therefore creating the mind, the Bodhisattva, Aham Tattva, and Chitta. And that is life. Life, there is a parallelism between body and mind. And a reflection of the unit consciousness. We understand and we have seen before that because there is a body with 5 fundamental factors, then the Atman gets reflected on this being. And it reflects where? On the mental plate. And the mental plate of the human being, Bodhitattva, Aham Tattva, Chitta. Now, what happens when there is death? So there is no more life now, there is death. When there is death, there is a separation from the body and the mind and soul. So there is a separation. The body formed by the 5 fundamental factors dies, and the mind doesn't die, and the soul is immortal. The unit consciousness exists forever in the cosmic consciousness. So these two parts remain. This body part dies or gets destroyed, and death is inevitable. But why? Why this mechanism? Why is needed to have this death? Imagine that we need thousands of years or millions of years to get free from the influence of Prakriti. Because we did many actions, we have many reactions. As long as there is a reaction, we have to exhaust that reaction. So we will continue on and on until all the reactions get exhausted. When the reactions get exhausted, then we get free. But as long as there is some reaction to exhaust, we are not free. That may take a long time. Maybe, let's say it takes 1,000,000 years. So if we keep the same body for 1,000,000 years, what happens? In the body, there are different elements. Some parts of the body are ethereal factor, some parts are aerial factor, some parts luminous factor, other parts liquid factor, and other parts solid factor. And all this together in the body. Now, in the way the cycle goes is that ethereal factor will become aerial factor, will become luminous factor, will become liquid factor, which will become solid factor. And now this solid factor will be divided into various beings, and these various beings will move toward Brahma again. That makes the cycle. If those factors remain trapped in the body, it means they are not going to evolve. So this evolution is going to stop. So death is needed to keep the change, to keep the cycle going. It's it For the system to work well, it's necessary that a mind will take a body, the body will be changing, last for a certain time, and then that body will be destroyed. Just imagine that in our body, there are many cells. These cells, they have minds. Maybe one day, the mind that is today in our cell will be in a human being in the future. So that mind shouldn't get trapped in the body for millions of years. It should be able to move. So in that way, we live in this body maybe for 100 years, and the body is also changing this 100 years. Cells are dying, new cells are being born. The different factors are changing, and then that is the cycle is going on. Okay, so that is what's happening in death, and all these factors, they will evolve one day into innumerable fully reflected unit consciousness. In the diagram, we have again the human being with Atman, which is immortal, is the unit consciousness, with the mind that carries the feeling of I, the identity as a human being. And there was death. The body, which has the brain, which is the physical base for the mind, has been destroyed. In that case, the mind cannot function. Mind cannot function. We'll discuss a point of philosophy here. If the mind can't function, the mind cannot experience any pleasure nor pain after death. If we cannot experience pleasure or pain after death, to say that we go to heaven or to hell does not make sense, because the mind remains suspended. If it remains suspended, it cannot experience pleasure and pain. So it also cannot undergo the reactions. If it cannot undergo the reactions, so there is no, it's not evolving also. The reactions are remaining there. So for the mind to be able to exhaust the reactions, it needs to be reborn. It takes another body, and that's the rebirth. So mind is reborn in a new body so that it can exhaust its previous samskaras. And as long as there are samskaras, the mind will keep on this cycle. So 2 points here. One, the idea of heaven and hell does not make sense in the light of this philosophy. The other one, the idea that there are ghosts, also doesn't make sense because all these minds, they are in a suspended state. So they are not acting like a ghost. They are in a suspended state. They are waiting to get a new body. So the mind, what remains? The reactions in potential form, the samskaras, remain with the suspended mind and attached to the unit consciousness. And that is waiting for a new body so that it can exhaust its samskaras. Now, where is this mind? It is not in a particular place. It can be anywhere because that mind is basically not functioning. It is with the soul, just waiting for Prakriti to give it a new body. What about liberation? Mukti is the Sanskrit word for liberation. So in liberation, what happens? The influence of Prakriti is not there anymore. So it's cut, the influence of Prakriti. When the influence of Prakriti is cut, then the feeling of I that separates the Bodhisattva from the Atman will not be there. So basically, the Chitta will get suspended into the Aham Tattva. The Aham Tattva gets suspended into Bodhisattva. Bodhisattva gets suspended into the unit consciousness. And that is liberation. It gets free from the influence of Prakriti. And what happens to the body? Suppose the person is alive and gets liberation. Well, when the person gets liberation, doesn't need the body anymore because the body is the vehicle to take the person towards liberation. The moment the mind attains liberation, doesn't need the body anymore. So the body will also basically die. But that is a different kind of death. That is, let's say, a spiritual death. Now the mind merges into the consciousness. So there is no mind anymore. So there is only unit consciousness remains. Let's talk a little bit about after death. In the after death, remained only unit consciousness, the Atman, and the mind. The samskaras, which are the reactions in potential form, remain keeping the separation of the mind, not allowing the mind to merge in unit consciousness. So the influence of Prakriti remains. And Prakriti will have to select a suitable body for this mind here so that the samskaras can be exhausted. How long does it take? Could be a day, could be 1,000,000 years. Why is that? Now imagine there are so many unit consciousnesses connected with all these minds, and we need to be reborn in a situation that helps us to exhaust our samskaras. So the example given is like this. Imagine that one individual, let's give him the name of John. John has the samskara that when he will reach a certain age, let's say when John will reach age of 5, his samskara is that his father will die. He has to experience the pain of a father dying at the age of 5. That's his samskara. Now, what is the suitable body for John? Suitable body for John is that he should be born in a family that the father has the samskara to die after 5 years from the birth of the son. So the two samskaras match. The father has a samskara that he will die 5 years after the birth of a son. And the son, which is John, has the samskara that he should experience a death of his father at the age of 5. So he is born in that family, and when he reaches 5, his father dies. So his father goes through the samskara of dying at that age, and he goes through the samskara of feeling the pain of his father dying. So you imagine in this cosmic drama, there are all these situations. Why two people came together at a certain point of time? Why we are here together in online on this class? There is some reason. The reason is that I have the samskara to be here in this moment doing what I am doing, and you people have the samskara of being there listening. So it matches, so that's why it's happening. And now imagine how complex, because there are billions of people and more numbers of other beings in this cosmic creation. So it needs a super computer to run this whole system so that all these things coincide and happen in the right place in the right moment. So it's a very complex system, this system of action and reaction, samskara. Now, the actual reaction is not the same as the action. It doesn't mean that I stole $1,000 from somebody and my reaction will be that somebody else will steal $1,000 from me. It's not like that. When I do an action, there is a mental situation that happens when I'm doing that action. I'm causing some pain or giving some pleasure to other minds. So the mental measure of what I'm creating through my action, I will experience. So if through my action I created X happiness, in the reaction I will receive, I will get X happiness. But maybe I created that happiness by donating some money to somebody. But what will happen to me is not that somebody will donate some money to me. Maybe I will just meet somebody who makes me happy in a different way. So it is the mental measure that matters. And the actual reaction is not predetermined. And usually the reaction comes in the next life. I did an action in this life, my reaction will come next life. So next life, when I'm getting the reaction, I don't remember the action anymore. So I feel it's my fate. Oh, why this accident happened to me? Oh, this is fate. No, this is the result of some previous action. Some previous action that happened in a previous life, which I don't remember anymore, now is coming back to me as a reaction. And I think this is fate. Not only that, sometimes I think, oh, Parampurusha is doing that. He is doing it to me. Why are you doing this to me? But it's not that. It is not that Parampurusha wants to create problem for us. It's because we acted in a certain way. Our mind got deformed in a certain way. Now his benevolence wants to make our mind get back to its balanced state. So we get the reaction. And that's the karma pala, the fruit of the action. So after death, mind remains with the samskaras and the unit consciousness, connected with unit consciousness. What happens? It waits until Prakriti finds the suitable body. What is the suitable body? The suitable body is a body in a certain shape that is born in a certain family, in a certain time, in a certain situation, that is good for that mind to exhaust its samskaras. So why we were born in a certain country, in a certain family? Because that was the best place that Prakriti found for us so that we can exhaust our samskaras. And here I will bring another point of philosophy, that human beings themselves are answerable for their fate, as it is their actions alone which create it. So what we do creates our fate. It's the result of our action. I will put you a last question now. I will ask you a last question, and after that you can ask your questions. And this is the last question. Choose the correct answer, the first one. To every action there is an equal reaction. Well, that's not absolutely correct, because the reaction is not really equal to the action. Take an example like this. You borrow some money in the bank. Today you borrow $10,000. Now you are going to pay slowly, slowly. And you are paying interest. In the end, you will see you will pay 20,000. So in the same way, now you do an action. The reaction does not come immediately. There is only one situation that the action and the reaction are equal, is when there is no change in time, space, and person. It means the reaction has to happen instantly. So the same place, same time, same people involved. Then it will be equal. There will be no variation. But if it's happening after many lives or after many years, then there'll be variation. Okay. So let's say that it would be right if we say that the mental measure of the effect created by the action will be similar to or will be the same to the one created by the reaction. Okay, but equal is not going to be. The next one, there is no liberation as long as there are samskaras. That's correct. We have to finish the samskaras, then we get liberation. 86% of you got it right. Then the other 3 are wrong. During death, the unit consciousness separates from the mind. No, mind and unit consciousness remain, and then body separates from the body. It only the mind only ends when there is no more influence of Prakriti. The next one, unit consciousness experiments the result of actions. Actions happen in the mind. Mind experiences the result. If you do good actions, you will have pleasure after death. After death, mind gets suspended, does not get pleasure nor pain. So that doesn't happen. Now I'm moving to a summary, and then you can ask your questions if there is any question. We got 4 new words today. Karma phala, fruit of action. That's the reaction. Samskara, that's the reaction in potential form. Not yet happened. It's in potential form, about to happen. That's samskara. Mukti, liberation. When all samskaras finish, we get mukti. And another word, I didn't emphasize this one, pret atman. It means a ghost or spirit. We said mind is suspended, is not working as a spirit or as a ghost. So spirits and ghosts also don't exist. We talked about our relation with the universe. We are always doing action, and then we get the reaction. And all this is happening in the mind. And in the universe, there is always life and death. One being is living and then is dying, and another one is being born, and another one and dying. So that's happening constantly in the universe. We also talked about our relationship with the cosmic entity, that unit consciousness gets reflected when there is a body, and we get back to that state of cosmic entity when we reach mukti, and unit consciousness is released from the influence of Prakriti. And that's a summary of today's class, our relationship with the universe, our relationship with the cosmic entity. And we go for questions and answers. There were some questions during the presentation, and I answered them during the presentation. 3 questions were there. Okay, thank you for being there, participating in this webinar, and good night. Namaskar.